Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with drdan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is drdan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a bilingual cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court appointed and private, marriage counseling using the EFT method, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. I provide individual one-on-one session in both French or English, and also do group settings. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Therapy and Coaching Services at 301-325-1550, and our website can be found at lifecoachddanamzallag.com. Today, I'm very excited to have for our sixth episode of season 11, a special guest and founder of Happy Community Builder, Barry Braun. And just like every of my past episode, I will leave it up to the guests to properly introduce themselves, as no one can do a better job. Barry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. I'm really glad to be here. So I am the founder of Happy Community Builders, and the basic idea of why I did that was I was reflecting on my grandchildren's future, and I want them to have a happy future. And the picture I was building didn't look all that happy when I look out into when they become mature adults. So I wanted to do something to mitigate that. And I believe that community is the foundation for our well-being. It's where they're going to find their support that they need when they need it. And so that's what motivated me to create Happy Community Builders as a way of enabling them to have that kind of future.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Barry, for being here today. And I'm sure nowadays, after this pandemic, this isolation for 2 years that everyone had in Canada, I think they push it to the extreme here when it comes to isolation. But when it comes to now going back into the world, have you seen a lot of people being very unhappy about the outcome of this pandemic, about the outcome of the economy, about the outcome of their relationship with their friends, family, and everything? So have you seen some more tension after everything that happened?
Well, I think what I've noticed from my own perception up here in Canada is that people were glad to get out of COVID pandemic, and they came out with a greater awareness of what they think is really important, which is our social connectedness, our social connections, knowing the people who are around us. They really felt disappointed, sad, anxious, stressed by having to give up the connections that they had, and through that have come to realize how really important they really are.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that I would say that people came out unhappy and depressed, but I would say that they came out very aware of the importance of community around them.
So it was a happy awakening, you would say.
It's a happy awakening for me that they had that awakening, yes.
Okay. So how does your program works when it comes to the Happy Community Builder? I mean, is there like community of where you live? Is it community all over the province of Nova Scotia? Is it community all over Canada? What is exactly you mean by community?
Well, Happy Community Builders is a gathering of community builders from around the world, where they share their ideas, share their knowledge and experience with each other, and co-create new processes or new ways of solving some of our intractable problems that we have, our social problems that we have.
Okay.
And so it's not local to Nova Scotia at all, although that's where I live. But we have members who come from the United States, from England, from India, from Africa, as well as Canada, of course.
Okay. And so how long did it take you to be able to develop this massive network? And you said that you saw your grandchildren that inspired you to get this started, but how long did it take to where it is right now?
I've been working at this for 10 years.
Okay.
My oldest grandchild is turning 11, and I started it when she was born, basically.
Okay.
And but it's been a journey. So I've gone through a lot of learning experiences, and as I learn, I morph and adjust
Mhm.
to what I've learned. So it actually started out as women reshaping the world, because my thought at the time was, who's screwing up the world? Well, it's us old white guys. So let's get somebody else in the driver's seat. And that worked sort of, but I found out that I could do a better job of reshifting the focus to community, and community being foundational. And so it's community builders that we attract, people who are interested in making their communities a more wholesome community, a more connected community. And so an interesting statistics, Dan, in the United States, 75% of the people do not know their neighbor. And that makes for an unhappy place.
I agree.
Right? And so it's what we're trying to do is shift those statistics everywhere, because my grandkids aren't going to come to Nova Scotia to live. They're living in Toronto, Ontario, and Calgary, Alberta. Calgary, Alberta is 3,500 miles from here.
Or, or
And
Vancouver, or maybe even Montreal. So I mean, it's
even Montreal, right? My goal is that communities everywhere get happier, and the people to do that are the people who care about community. And if they do, they're welcome to be on Happy Community Builders to learn what they can do in their own communities.
Now, you said that 75% of the United States don't know their neighbors, but also, is it because of the mindset or the culture that they have about always being on the go, 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 never really taking a break for anything, always looking for the next big money making opportunity? Is it because no one has the chance to be able to just slow down for a second and then just be more mindful about the moment that they live in, instead of always predicting a future that is so unseen or unpredictable?
Well, that is most certainly a part of it. Busyness is a very big part of it. The story that we've been told is that if you make enough money, you can be self-reliant and not have any problems, and you won't need anybody else. And that's not true. We always need other people. But that's only part of the story. The other part of the story is we've also been trained to be afraid of each other. We started off in early days with stranger danger, and we carry that through to our adult life. You know, we hear news every day about how people are scary people with guns and stuff like that. We never know, and all that sort of stuff. And so we're scared. We're afraid of each other, and so part of the reason we don't connect with each other, part of the reason we don't go knock on our neighbor's door, is busyness. But part of it is also we don't know who's behind the door, and they might be a scary person. It's not true, but that's what we think.
That is so true. But you know, it depends also on the type of neighborhood that you decide to reside in. Now, a lot of people will not purposely go into a neighborhood where they know that the crime rate is peaking. So it depends exactly where you not build your community, but where you interact with others. Because of course, if it's a very violent area, chances are you're not going to be able to even venture in.
Well, that's true. But the people who live in those communities know each other, or could know each other, and so they're living there, right?
Yes.
And they still are interdependent upon each other, and so they can still knock on each other's door, and they know how to deal with it. When somebody says, "No, I get the heck out of here," they know how to deal with that. Whereas I probably wouldn't know how to deal with it as well, although I've been in some of those neighborhoods and have experienced some of that stuff.
Now, do you feel that in the major metropolitan cities, like you said, Calgary, Alberta, Toronto, Montreal, BC, Vancouver, Victoria, there's so many people there that it is becoming harder and harder to be able to get to know your neighbor. But when you go into smaller town USA or Canada or in the prairies or whatever it is, chances are a lot of people know each other, because it's all about the numbers of what surrounds you in terms of the population, and not necessarily about the mentality or the mindset that people have in that specific city.
Well, that's partly true. Yesterday, I was in a small rural community in Nova Scotia, up in what's called Cape Breton, and the stories that they were telling me up there was that in one community of 20,000 people, that's not a very big place. Generally, they don't know each other. And generally they don't, they intermingle with the people that are like them, but they don't intermingle with the people that aren't like them. They were also telling me of another community of 650 people, and everybody knows everybody.
That's so true.
Right? But my experience and our experience in working in larger communities is that a big city can be subdivided up into smaller communities.
Chunks,
And we've learned that a definition of a community, our working definition of a community, is when you can walk down the street and recognize people. And so if you're downtown Miami, and walking down the street of downtown Miami, the odds of you knowing anybody is pretty slim.
Very. Very.
But if you live in Miami, in a four block radius around where you live, if you don't know anybody there now, that's very fixable. That's doable. You can make that area into a community where people do know each other and develop an interdependence on each other, and a sense of belonging with each other, and a sense of caring for each other, which is really what makes a happy community. So you're a psychologist, Dr. Dan?
I'm a therapist, yes, sir.
A therapist, yeah. Okay, so well, you would, I hope, agree with me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the fundamentals for happiness is having relationship with other people, knowing other people, and having a sense of belonging, and knowing that somebody else actually really cares about me.
Well, yes, this is the positive psychology. This is what happiness is actually. And everything that you mentioned, I agree 100%. And yes, everyone wants to be a part of a crowd, to be welcome, to be accepted, because it's so hard to be able to just kind of live your life independently, not dealing with people, staying in isolation. Some people who are introverted may be okay with that. Some people who are extroverted may want to be around people, may want to be able to be the center of attention and be talking out loud so everyone hears them. So it depends on also the personality of that individual. So if you are in a community that's filled with introverted people, they will not care if that community is there or not, because for them, they live in their own cocoon, their own world, and they don't really feel the obligation or the need to wanting to interact. Now, if someone comes to them and say, hey, how you doing? Say, oh, I'm doing fine. Now, will they have that same initiative to be able to go to that person and say, hey, how you doing today? So the question is, again, relies on the individual's personality, if they are the type of person that are looking to be able to interact with others and develop their community mindset, versus having to kind of be in a society where, you stay in your corner, I'll stay in mine.
Sure. But my experience, even with introverted people, is that they still long for knowing that somebody cares about them. Mm-hmm. Somebody close by cares about them. That if something happens, they have somebody to reach out to. Mm-hmm. And so the community that I just described, the 4-block radius around wherever you live, can be developed into a community. It can be developed into a place where people do know each other. And the person who doesn't come out that often, other people can know about that person and care about them, and every once in a while do something nice for them. And that introverted person will still enjoy having somebody do something nice for them.
That's for sure, yes. Of course, if you introduce that approach about reaching out and making the effort, like for example, you said in a community for it to work, everyone has to work together. Everyone has to have the same mindset, the same goal, to be able to, let's say, for example, in a happy community, you have to be wanting to do activities, organize activity for everyone or every neighbor to come and join in. So everyone have the chance, let's say, a walk at the park or a picnic or whatever it is. So everyone join to do potluck. So everyone bring their own food and then, or bring some food for everyone to eat from. and then that shows that they are participating. Because yes, you could just be someone looking around, walking around, and not really being an integrated part of that community, even though you live in that community.
So there's a process for building a community that's not a community today. And that process, in our experience, takes about 18 months or so. And so every community has a story. So if you, the community that you live in or the community that I live in, if I go around and ask a half a dozen people, what's your community like? They will come up with some common idea. And it might be that the community has this story of, well, we just mind our own business. You know, we all got our own place to live, and we just mind our own business and take care of ourselves and go, you know, we got our work to do and all that sort of stuff. And we just don't care about the rest of the people around us because we're mind our own business, right? That story can change. And that's what we've developed an expertise in, is how to actually shift that story. And that story could be a new story where, well, we all know each other and we all, some of us are friends, others are not as much friends, but we all know each other. And we all know when somebody's getting into some sort of situation, you know, somebody's passed away in in our neighborhood, or somebody lost their job or something like that. We know about it. And when that happens, we know enough to go out and reach out to them. That could be a community story. And it can shift from one place to another. It takes a little bit of time and it takes a particular process to make that happen, but that can happen. And we've made it happen. And yesterday I mentioned I was up in Cape Breton in this small community. Their community story was about seniors. We were particularly talking about seniors in their community. And their story was that the seniors hang out with seniors and take care of each other, and the rest of the community goes about their business, and the two don't interact. So the seniors aren't really part of the community, and the community isn't part of the seniors. And that's what they want to change. And the way it gets changed is when that story changes that they have, where we all care about each other here. The seniors care about us, and we care about the seniors, and we all know each other, and we all interact with each other. And that's the story that they want to have.
So how do you find the leader of each of the happy community, Barry? I mean, do you place ads? Do you go to different HOA, or how does that work?
Well, there's two ways. One is we have this platform called happycommunitybuilders.com. And on there, people who are interested in building community join onto the platform, and from there they can access resources and learn how to do this. The other way is that we get calls, which is what happens in this case, calls from people who are aware of us and say, you know, we got a problem in our community and we'd like to do something, you know, to do something about it. And so we start a conversation with them, figure out what they're really trying to accomplish, and work with them to make that happen.
Beautiful. And what kind of the major concern have you experienced in your 10 years of building the Happy Community Project when it comes to issues in the community, or people? Is it primarily that they...
It tends to be in a short list.
Okay.
The short list is divisiveness is one of them. We fight about things and we never get anything really done here as a community. That's one. The other is cliquishness. So seniors hang with seniors, rich people hang with rich people, that sort of stuff, and we're not really integrated as a community. And social isolation tends to be another one, a big one, that there are people in our community that are locked away in their homes and nobody ever sees them. And they're struggling to finish off their lives and are generally unhappy because they're lonely.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so the people that call you to be able to get started with the community, did you do everything on Zoom to be able to help them through that process? Because if they're from all over the world, you're not going to travel all over the world to be able to help each and every community. So
No.
how long does it take for them to get everything rolling, to get everything started and get the community to be able to participate?
Well, again, sorry, there's there's two ways of approaching this. One is if there is a general citizen says, hey, I want something to happen in our community. We started off with a conversation, and from there we guide them through a process that takes about 2 months of getting them trained up to a basic level. And then from there we guide them, and that guide them in the activities in their community to actually start connecting their community. And that can all be done on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
The other way is with professional community builders, and for that the process is a little bit different. They're coming from a different place of understanding, and so again, everything is on Zoom, but we respect where they're coming from, and also they are able to connect with other professionals on the Happy Community Builders and draw on each other's expertise to solve particular problems that they might be dealing with.
Okay, so the leaders can actually interact with each other from all other places around the world to say, hey, I'm having an issue. So they don't
do that.
Oh, they do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, they absolutely do that. Yep. It's every day that's happening on Happy Community Builders. They're connecting with each other and sharing ideas, offering to lead workshops for each on particular topics, make connections, form groups around special interests like social isolations or intergenerational connectedness, or there's a new one forming on Happy Community Builders, which is reconciliation with First Nations, creating a talking circle where non-Aboriginals and Aboriginal people get together and just get to know each other.
So is there like a one or yearly seminar where everyone comes to Nova Scotia and all meet together, or is it something you think to do in the future?
Well, that may happen in the future, but I haven't got any ambition to create a conference yet.
Okay.
I've created conferences in the past. Okay. I know it's involved in them. Yes. And so far this is working this way. So we're going to keep on working this way for the foreseeable future.
Beautiful. So how can leaders of different communities that are looking to be able to start their own happy community, who can they contact? What website they need to go to? And so at least the listeners who are actually living in a community that is not really thriving, they can actually reach out to you.
So, well, I'll give you my email first of all. They can reach out to me directly by email, Barry Bravo Alpha Romeo Romeo Yankee BARRY at happycommunityproject.com. Or they can go to our website, which is happycommunitybuilders.com, Happy Community Builders. So it's https://happycommunitybuilders.com.
Are you active on the social media like Facebook or Instagram or any of those, or is it?
Yes, we're on Facebook as well, and LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is probably our most active social media, and it is Barry Braun at Happy or at LinkedIn. So Braun is spelled like the razor, BRAUN.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, our listeners heard you, Barry. And on that note, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us. And thank you for participating and inspiring our many listeners with your incredible project. Now, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's episode. I'm also very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for season 11 of the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories just like the one that you listened to today. Now, here are some concluding words of wisdom. Coretta King once stated, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its members." One of the marvelous things about the sense of community is that it enables us to welcome and help people in a way that we couldn't as individuals. Power comes from numbers, and when working together, we make our voice be heard. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. There's no power for change greater than a community of people discovering what it cares about the most by implementing a set of action and behaviors related to their cause. Finally, never confuse community with proximity. True community requires commitment and openness. It is a willingness to extend yourself to encounter and know your fellow human beings. My name is Dr. Drdanamzallag, and you may all still keep pursuing your amazing journey in life.